Welcome to episode 71. Can you believe it? And we already have over 7,000 downloads, so a big thank you. When I recorded this episode, I had no idea when it would go live. But back in episode 62, Visualize Your Perfect Day, I saw the exact valley in Slovenia that I am looking over at this very moment. Tricia was also a guest for episode 4, Bold Moves, and 11 on the importance of grieving. Hey, I'm Hillary Baggett, host of Hill Talks Midlife. As an occupational therapist turned entrepreneur at 50, I'm on a mission to support women to know that no matter what is going on in their lives, body, mind, spirit, or business, they can go for it and know that they are not alone as we create the Women's Midlife Network. Hey, this is Hillary Baggett, and today I am interviewing another founding member. And Patricia Hubschmann is a woman that I met in Germany. And the day we met, she said, well, you may not know me for too long. We may be moving soon. And instead, we ended up living in the same German community for another, 6 years. So it's been really great to know her personally. And now I'm inspired because she is also an entrepreneur. And I don't know if she even considered herself that back originally when she started running swim camps in Slovenia. And now her most recent project is she has started creating these escape rooms. Well, I'll let her tell you about it. Welcome, Tricia.
Thanks, Hillary. The newest endeavor are these escape games. And what we're realizing is that it's fun to think outside the box. So we have an outdoor escape game, and now we've been hired by a school to conduct a multi-level, multi-grade escape game day. And then we've also had someone ask us about creating an escape game for a resort and for a vending machine, which I really don't know what that looks like.
Wow. That sounds really interesting. I'm a big fan of escape rooms. I just did one up in Rocky Mountain National Park at the YMCA of the Rockies, but we were in with a family. It was a family of 6.
That's a lot of people.
How did you come to develop? Is there a part of your story you'd like to share with us?
Well, I think both swim camps and escape games happened really organically through friendships. The swim camp was something I volunteered to do, and through my friendship with the head coach kind of developed into a much bigger thing than we expected. And then the escape game is actually one of those gifts of COVID and gifts of the lockdown. Like you, I love puzzles and games, and I had done some with a friend of mine who's here and is Slovenian. And she was creating them for her family. And they were really creative and fun and different. And we bought a book called Journal 29, which is actually an escape game in a book, which is very cool.
Ooh.
And it's not easy. It's long. It took us literally the entire lockdown to get through it. And there's no words. And we started talking about how there's a few, but it's basically without words. And her being Slovenian, me being American, we were talking about escape games and language, and we decided that was something we were interested in. We've had difficulty finding an indoor location because you really need 2 games to make it profitable, or you need to be affiliated with a nonprofit.
Okay.
So then we thought, okay, well, if we can't do it inside, maybe we could do it outside. So the local tourism office asked us to create one for their big chocolate festival. It was really successful. And so that now is a permanent outside game. We have not marketed it much. That's kind of something we're doing for next year because we really needed the time to test it, to make sure it was really good. We've still been tweaking it. I'd say it's 85% we're happy with it. A little bit of tweaking left. So.
I would say that is a huge success. If you can be 85% happy, that is amazing. So some of the members might not know, but I am married to a retired Marine, and you are married to a retired Coast Guard service member, and your son is also Coast Guard. And I love that connection. And so we met in Germany, and you still are stationed in Germany, but you also have a home in Slovenia. And the first time I invited myself basically to swim camp, and I didn't even have kids that swam, but I just wanted to go to Slovenia. And I don't think you were the head of it at the time, but you were just starting to take over. And I just fell in love with Slovenia, and the word love inside it really embodies what Slovenia is. The people, the views, it's just extraordinary. I love it.
We went for coffee today with a couple that has now lived here basically permanently, another family, but for 12 years they've been here permanently. So, yeah.
Wow, that is great. Well, I'm going to transition a little bit to our community, and I'm just so grateful because you also helped as one of my beta members, right, behind the scenes and giving feedback and saying, hey, this is working, or you're giving too much information here, or there's just too much. And when people feel like they can't show up to something, sometimes they feel, is there something, some wisdom or advice you'd like to share about your experience during this transition with Community Bloom?
Well, I think one of the things we've learned is that we're creating it what it needs to be. And I think you've been learning and we've been learning. We're not sure what we needed. We know we wanted some kind of community, and both of us are past 50. The groups I work with stay about the same age, but I don't. And this year I had someone lament to me how hard it was to turn 35. And I had to really think for a minute. It was hard to turn 35. It's just been a little while. And so, because it was that, oh yeah, I remember that feeling, 40 is closer. So it's nice to have a group where I'm not getting farther and farther away in age from everyone. But yeah, I think we're all learning that we have to take what we need. And you can't plan for how busy you are. Sometimes it's super busy, and sometimes you have plenty of time. And I think we were just talking about practicing grace with that we will learn this together.
Yeah, I think that is so wise. And I hope that all the founding members know, and future members know, that there is so much grace. You are not disappointing me. You are not letting anyone down. You are not behind. These are opportunities to gather or to collaborate. Some of us need accountability. Some of us are saying, hey, how do you grow a business, and how do you turn a profit? And some of it just takes longer than we can imagine. But what's really awesome is that when we have conversations, we can say, hey, you know what worked for me? This might help you. Or, hey, here's what I'm seeing. If you make these little tweaks, you might find that things go further faster. And then letting go. I think one of the great things about blossoming and blooming over 50 particularly, and that's when because you were, I think, on the cusp of 50 when you kind of created this new venture. And that's actually a very similar story to the other founding members. So I hope that everyone will get a chance to watch each other's videos and to see this heart for service and this opening up of who we are and creating our next chapter. And it's energizing and exciting. And there's so much grace. Yeah, can we make this happen? Maybe. Let's see. Wait, it didn't work. Oh, I got to do this. All right. And it's very different than the 30-something of it's got to be this way, or I'm running out of time. And there's just a lot of grace.
There's something wonderful about turning 50. And I actually do have a theory about this, that at 50, you realize if I'm not doing what I wanted to do, I better do it. Because you kind of see that. And I have a very good friend here that had a really wonderful tenured job, director of the tourism office. Her husband had been at a casino for a long time. They both were very well established in their careers. And a year before she turned 50, they both left their jobs and started a chocolate shop.
Yeah. I miss it very much.
And it's doing fantastic. She looks amazing because she's doing something that's kind of and maybe it's that we're at that place where we're ready to be reinvigorated.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Raise your hand if you need some reinvigoration, right? Our kids are transitioning, and our relationships are evolving and our friendships are deepening. And there's something deeply satisfying, I think, about our friendships over a long period of time and with a depth.
Well, and I think we have this gift to give also to especially other women. So I do spend a lot of time with women with younger children. And I remember feeling like, wow, when am I going to get to shine? And I think it's good for them to see us having children that are older that do not need our every waking moment and would prefer not to have our every waking moment. And to step back and say, oh, I could do something I want to do.
Yeah.
I think that's something that they need to see. I'm enjoying seeing other friends do it. And, next chapter.
Exactly. And I realize what lights me up is helping and supporting other women get to where they want to go if there's something that's in my power or ability. And I love connecting people. Now, you and I used to serve together in our church that was in Germany. And back when I still dyed my hair, Tricia and I would show up and have the same outfit on. In Slovenia, we showed up in the same bathing suit. And we had never been swimming together ever. Then we got our new reading glasses and we showed up at church and they were the same red frames. And we had ordered them from the same place and we had never had a discussion about it. And people used to call us each other's names. And we finally learned that people thought there was only one of us, actually. And finally we stood up in front of everyone next to each other and they were like, oh, there's two of you. I think people thought we were just really efficient with our time because we were doing the work of 4 people, but there were only 2 of us.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. And I'm actually, it's interesting. I love how you've transitioned to having your hair go natural. My family's not ready for that. I might be ready for it before they are, which kind of cracks me up.
No.
I think we all evolve in our need to serve others. But yeah, I think also we've just gone through a lot, I think, as women and as friends. And COVID changed things because we didn't have communities we used to have. The church we attended is not recovered to the extent you would think it had. And I think that's affecting a lot of groups, churches, not just religious groups, but all groups.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're different now.
Yeah. Well, I think for the founding members, if you have a question, one of the rich parts of this community, because I've gotten to talk to each of you, is that you each have very valuable perspectives and you're very honest and gracious with your feedback. And Tricia is one of those. And so if you have a question, Tricia's had a lot of global experience during the pandemic. I interviewed her and I made the longest podcast on recorded history. Not really, but it felt like it because we were talking about, creating a swim camp. We were talking about the International Global Bookworm Book Club that she developed. And then I think we talked about Christmas because you and your family members, there's 5 of you, and you were all in different places. And it's like, gosh, how do you feel together when you have to be apart in the pandemic? And then you had also moved to Thailand in the middle of it as well. I mean, it was just, there was so much going on. So I think it's important to not be intimidated when we hear about what someone's doing or where they live. The reality is that this group of women are really incredible, really kind, loving, generous, passionate, heart-centered, like-minded, open-minded, and willing to help.
That's good. Well, and I look forward to hearing everyone else's stories and those times when we can interact. I know it's hard time zone wise. I will be in the US for a little while, so that might be easier for me for a little while to log in because I'll be only I don't know where I'll be, but I'll be somewhere in the US.
Sounds good. Is there anything else you'd like other founding members or future members to know about you?
That's a good one. I think that what I would like you to know is that I'm really interested in to get to know your stories and get your input. When I hit places where sometimes I get stuck, I'm not great at asking for help, but that is something I've been working on. And I really appreciate it when I receive it. And I realize that I probably should have asked earlier. So I look forward to hearing people's insights.
Really great. There's a wealth of information in here. Well, thank you, Tricia Hubschman. And when they hear me call you Tricia, just know that I've gotten permission to call you Tricia, but you also go by your given name of Patricia. So is that correct?
It is, because in Slovenia, Tricia is a very strange name, but Tricia is very common.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tricia. We'll look forward to seeing you around. And I hope I get to either see you or host you or some of your family members while you're here in America.
Thanks, Hillary.
Hey, if you liked what you heard today, then I'm going to ask you to subscribe where you like to listen to podcasts and share with a friend. You can send it directly to them. So if you're wondering if women after 40 can continue to grow and gather together and give grace to ourselves and others, yes, a resounding yes. We can be reinvigorated. We can shine. I feel like I am just starting to get to know myself. I am just learning how to love myself. And I want you to know you can too. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening, and without you, there would be no show. You can check out the show notes. You can subscribe. Thanks. Have a great one.